Joining me now to talk more about the scenes coming out of Los Angeles and everything else happening in the U.S. is a really special guest. You may have seen him on Fox News or maybe caught one of his stand-up shows once upon a time. He's a former U.S. Army infantry colonel, Los Angeles trial lawyer, novelist, and a keen observer of the current scene. And guess what? He was also once the deputy commander of the infantry brigade Donald Trump has ordered into Los Angeles. Kurt Schlichter joins me now. Kurt, thanks for joining me on the U.S. Report. I just played some of Gavin Newsom's speech from the other night, and it is clear to me that this guy is absolutely desperate to be president. So as a Californian yourself, I wanted to ask about this first of all. You've written about this at townhall.com, but can you explain to my viewers here in Australia just what an insane idea this is?
Well, thank you for having me. Gavin Newsom has managed to somehow take the greatest state in the United States, California, the Golden State, with swaying palm trees and creative people, beautiful beaches, wonderful mountains, and turn it into a nightmare, a hellhole. We have hobos marching across our landscape, leaving their spoor in their wake. We have crime. We have people moving out of California in droves, including me. I now have a house in Texas as well. It's sad to me as somebody who's lived in California for over 50 years to see what's happened. But, you know, Gavin Newsom promises to bring the very same nightmare to the entire United States. And I think Americans who are at heart a sensible people are going to look at his appeal to them and burst into gales of laughter because it's absolutely ridiculous that this shiny, overly hairstyled clown would presume that he's going to be allowed to do the same damage to my entire country as he's done to my state.
And Kurt, now tell us, what exactly is the current state of the protest? It does seem like things have died down a little bit. You're ex-military yourself, as I mentioned at the start of this here. Do you think the decision to call in the National Guard and the Marines was the right one to get this protest under control? And should Trump have done this back in 2020 when he didn't? There was a lot of controversy about the National Guard, as you will recall, around that. But as a result, the riots took off then, and the BLM narrative then, which was the big thing, not immigration, but Black Lives Matter, that narrative was allowed to take hold.
Well, that's true. Let me explain what the National Guard is. National Guard is what we call dual-hatted. It is a United States Army force. Okay, I came out of the regular Army after Desert Storm, joined the California National Guard. Had to meet all the same standards. I went to the same colonel school. I did all the same things, had the same equipment, and when necessary, I was what's called federalized. Normally, it remains under the governor's control, but the president can federalize you, and I was federalized in 1992 for the Los Angeles riots, which were real riots. This is kind of a sideshow, and I'll get to that in a second. I was also federalized to deploy to Kosovo in 2004 to 2006, and then I came back, and then I was back to state duty, is what we call it. So the Guard is a powerful tool. It is a military force. These guys out there you see on the streets are killers. They're infantry, and that's why you don't see them out breaking heads. Now, they put us infantry guys on the street in 92 and said, go settle it. And we did, kinetically. In fact, a lot of the troops were drawn from the various areas rioting. This time they're doing point security. They're letting police force out there handle the rioters. The riots themselves are dying down. I think it's because they become politically useless. They are not getting what the Democrat Party, which is using these activists. It has deniability, but they share the same goal. It's making them look bad, so it's going to go away.
Yeah, so tell me more, though, about this, because I spoke earlier in the program about how there's a lot of connections between these various activist groups, these Hispanic rights groups, and the Democrat Party and the state government. So really, in a sense, California taxpayers are paying for the mayhem that we've been seeing on the street. But can you just explain a little more about, that narrative that they're trying to create, the chaos narrative, that Donald Trump causes chaos, and if you vote for us, things might calm down, which I think was what happened in 2020, but this isn't working this time.
No, it's not. this is what's called an information operation. Like I said, the first riots were kinetic. We went out there to use physical force to achieve our objective. Information, we attempt to change the narrative so the people change what they're doing. Effectively, they wanted to present the image of hopelessness. Trump is weak. The conservatives aren't going to get what they want. You've got to give in, or we're going to rage through the streets, threaten you and your family. The only way to stop that is to provide a counterpoint. That is a defensible position of resistance, which is what Trump did. Trump said, I'm not going to stop. In fact, I'm going to see you and raise you a brigade of infantrymen. And suddenly, normal people have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to side with the lawful, legitimate authorities. I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be threatened. And when that happens, and it doesn't happen anywhere near enough, it should have happened in 2020, the information operation suddenly stops helping the left. It starts hurting them because they look violent, they look criminal. And it helps that the federal law enforcement is out there arresting people for federal crimes, which are different from state crime. They're not routine crimes.